After the huge success of the Vivo X100 Ultra, which many of you crowned the best camera phone of 2024, we now have the Vivo X200 Ultra. A lot of people are wondering if worth upgrading from the Vivo X100 Ultra to the new model, and honestly, it's not a random question. The X100 Ultra was one of the best Chinese smartphones last year, not just in terms of the camera. If you are facing the same dilemma, I will try to help you out and make that decision a bit easier. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe this channel so you won't miss any future videos. Okay, let's get into it. Both phones look pretty similar. Design has not been completely changed, but you will notice a few changes. The X200 Ultra has flatter edges and massive camera bump. I thought the X100 Ultra had a big camera island, but the one on the X200 Ultra is the next level. Still, they both look really nice in my opinion, and honestly, the camera bump kind of fades into the background after a while. Both phones are IP69 water resistant, which is always a plus. Moving on to the display, and this is where I think Vivo made a smart change. The X200 Ultra has a flatter screen, and trust me, that's a good thing. On the X200 Ultra is still slightly curved on all four edges, but this curve is already very small. And even though both screens are pretty much the same size, 6.82 versus 6.78, the flatter design just feels bigger and nicer to use. We are still getting QHD+ LTPO panels with 120 Hz refresh rates, but there are some differences. On the X100 Ultra, the adaptive refresh rate often drops down to 60 Hz in most apps, unless you manually force 120 Hz. On the X200 Ultra, adaptive mode works way better. Most app runs at 90 to 120 Hz without needing to tweak settings. You can force 120 Hz across the board if you want, of course. Color-wise, they are both pretty similar, but the whites on the X200 Ultra are a bit warmer. One more thing, PWM dimming. The X200 Ultra has 2160 Hz versus 1440 Hz on the X100 Ultra. So if you are sensitive to screen flicker, that's something to consider. Specifications say the X200 Ultra hits 4500 nits peak brightness versus 3000 nits on the X100 Ultra. But in everyday use, they behave in a similar way, even under direct sunlight. Auto brightness also works great on both devices. Both phones come with ultrasonic fingerprint sensors placed at a comfortable height. Face unlock is 2D only, but works fine. No issues to report. In my Vivo X100 Ultra, I have 12GB of RAM, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, but in case of the X200 Ultra, I took this higher version with 16GB of RAM, and of course we have on the board the new Snapdragon 8 Elite. No surprise, the X200 Ultra is faster in benchmarks, but in day-to-day use, the X100 Ultra is still incredibly fast and smooth. Unless you are a hardcore gamer or benchmark geek, the difference won't be massive. Both run Origin OS, which is only available on Chinese versions, is fast, fluid and packed with customization options, but there are some limitations related to the Chinese version. I covered this in separate videos. And now about haptics. No real improvement in X200 Ultra. It's fine, but nothing close to OnePlus or Pixel phones quality. When it comes to the heating of these phones, X100 Ultra has always been a phone which likes to reach higher temperatures, and the X200 Ultra is quite similar. If you don't do anything intensive, or if the temperature outside isn't high, there is no problem. But in temperatures like I have now, like 28 degrees outside, you can feel that while taking pictures or making videos or even just browsing the internet on 5G, both phones can get hot. When I was taking longer pictures at this temperature or shooting shorter movies, the temperature in both phones oscillated around 44 to 47 degrees. It was possible to feel the stronger heating. When I was recording in 4K 60 FPS on my balcony at 28 degrees in the shade, so in the sun it was definitely hotter, my Vivo X100 Ultra, after 7 minutes of recording, simply blew up a message about overheating and ended recording with the temperature over 52 degrees. X200 Ultra calmly made it to 10 minutes, and I myself have already finished recording because it was mega hot on the balcony, and the temperature that the X200 Ultra reached after finishing recording was 54 degrees. I still have to compare it to the X8 Ultra, so maybe something more interesting will come out with the temperatures, but as you can see, the X200 Ultra can also get very hot, but at the same time it can tolerate it. As for the X100 Ultra, I've had it for almost a year now, and I remember when I first got it, it could hit like 54 degrees without throwing an overheating warnings. So either the producer pushed some updates to stop it from getting that hot, or just saying it might be slowly breaking down on me. I'm joking, of course, but seriously, I didn't have stuff like this happening before with the X100 Ultra, so I will keep an eye on it. Both phones come with IR blasters and AI features. On the X200 Ultra, there is even a walkie-talkie app that allows users to communicate without the need for a mobile network or Wi-Fi, which is also an interesting option. Also, there is a new dedicated camera button on the X200 Ultra with pro features like exposure and zoom control. But I will go deeper on that in the full review. In terms of software updates, from what I know, in the X100 Ultra, 3 years Android updates, and X200 Ultra, 4 years Android updates and 5 years security patches. No issues with connectivity here, call quality is great, very minimal tone differences, but overall they are both solid. I think that if I don't talk first from one phone and then immediately from the other, I would have a hard time noticing a major difference between these two phones. Hello.
Hello.
And now, how do you hear me?
Now is very clear.
Very clear,
Voice.
yes? And you can definitely know that is my voice, yes? It's not different.
Yes, it's okay.
It's
normal, like on the phone. Nothing, So, I hear you clear. I know that you.
And there is no sibilance in my voice.
I think there is. If you very shout like, then it's like hurting my
Higher pitch,
ears.
yes?
Yes.
But if I speak slowly and normal, there is no problem, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so I change the phone and we will see, okay?
Okay.
Okay, the another one.
Now the another one. Okay. Your voice, you have to talk about something.
So how do you hear? It's different in my voice, or sound same? There is a. Do you hear something in the background or something like that?
No. There is no difference between them two. They both
So both are very
have
similar.
high pitch. Yes, very similar. So I won't even guess which is which.
Okay, so the difference is very, very small between them. Okay.
Yes, there is no difference between them.
Okay. Thank you. Bye. And now the speakers. Both phones play decently. Listening to them one by one, the speakers on the X200 Ultra play more loudly, but I wouldn't say that the sound coming out of them is better. The speakers on the X100 Ultra are warmer, play a little wider. Besides, the X200 Ultra has quite a bit of upper mid-range, which can be annoying at higher volumes. In terms of Bluetooth codecs, both support LDAC, LHDC, aptX, aptX HD, aptX Adaptive and aptX Lossless. And now let's talk about cameras. Of course, to keep things short, the specifications of each lens are on the board in front of you. In the X100 Ultra, there are 3 profiles: vivid, textured and natural. The X200 Ultra adds black and white and classic negative to the quick menu. Just to clarify, all the photos here were taken using the natural mode. The main lens has changed a lot, from a different sensor to a different focal length in the X200 Ultra. So this comparison isn't going to be easy. I know many were waiting for this change because 35mm is perfect for street photography. And I have to admit, the 35mm on the X200 Ultra is really good. The photos are detailed and have great dynamic range. But honestly, you can say the same about using 23mm on the X100 Ultra. Photos on the default focal length of the main lens of the X100 Ultra are softer and have a different bokeh effect. I prefer that bokeh on the X100 Ultra, but that's just my personal taste. On the other hand, photos from the X200 Ultra seem brighter and HDR works more aggressively here. Since smartphones have different focal length, I took photos at 35 and 23mm on both phones. I'm not sure why, even when selecting 23mm on the X200 Ultra, photos still show a 24mm focal length in the detail. Looking at photos taken with the X100 Ultra at 35mm, you will notice a lot of detail due to cropping, but is not as significant as when you do the same on the X200 Ultra. The 23mm from the ultra-wide angle on the X200 Ultra looks much worse than the 35mm on the X100 Ultra, especially in low light conditions. Keep that in mind. As I mentioned it earlier, 35mm is great for street photography because it offers a field of view close to the human eye. But for landscape or group photos, 23mm may be better, so you will need to choose which focal length works best for you. The wide-angle lens is of course better on the X200 Ultra. Finally, we have an ultra-wide lens that deserves price. The amount of detail you get when zooming into these photos on the X200 Ultra is much better than what you get on the X100 Ultra, and in low light conditions, this difference is even more noticeable. And now let's talk about telephoto lenses. Both phones use the same sensor, but the X200 Ultra has a brighter aperture and you can really see that. Photos from the X200 Ultra have more detail and are brighter, but Vivo should work on the background blur effect. It sometimes looks a bit artificial. I still think the telephoto on the X100 Ultra is very good, but with the X200 Ultra, we stepped up to the next level. Regarding zoom, both phones handle up to 10x zoom very well, but the X200 Ultra seems to capture more detail. At higher zoom levels, AI processing kicks in, and the results can vary, sometimes favoring the X200 Ultra, other times the X100 Ultra. Much depends on how AI handles a particular shot. And now macro photography. Both phones use the telephoto lens for macro shots, but the X100 Ultra has a maximum focal length of 690 mm, while the X200 Ultra goes up to 460 mm. On both smartphones, macro results are excellent. You can get very close to the object, and the main difference will be in the color tones of these photos. Additionally, macro shots are a bit easier on the X200 Ultra. The autofocus is a bit more responsive than on my X100 Ultra. Portrait photos from both smartphones are very good. It's worth noting that the X200 Ultra doesn't have a 100mm focal length option like the X100 Ultra. After 85mm, it jumps to 135mm. One thing to do right away is to turn off the face beauty effect to make the photos look more natural. The X200 Ultra handles skin tones better. The skin color is warmer and more pleasant to the eye. Both smartphones do an excellent job of separating the subject from the background, and the X200 Ultra seems to capture more detail. The front camera on both smartphones is very good. Honestly, there was no need to change something that works very well. The photos are detailed and quite natural, but you need to turn off the face beauty effect. In many cases, the photos look very similar, but in strong sunlight, the X200 Ultra gives a warmer skin tone. Night photos on both smartphones looks great. Both have automatic night mode that works very well. Here, of course, the same situation occurs as in daylight conditions. Depending on which focal length you choose, one smartphone might perform better than the other. But I must admit, the X200 Ultra handles light sources much better, like flares or other light reflections. The difference is really noticeable. The phones also differ slightly in white balance on some shots and colors, especially greens, which look more natural on the X200 Ultra. When it comes to action shots, both smartphones have dedicated action modes, and you can use them with the main lens or the telephoto. During the day, it's honestly hard to take a bad photo with either phone, whether you are using a main lens or telephoto. I was recently at the birthday party with my son, and even in strong artificial lighting, the photos came out really well from both the main and the telephoto lenses. The challenge here is artificial lighting, but when there is less of that light. With lower lighting, you are sure to see more blurry photos. As for the video, both phones can shoot in 8K 30fps and 4K 120fps. You can record in Dolby Vision on both, but the X200 Ultra also supports Dolby Vision on the front camera, which is pretty cool. Also, you can smoothly switch between the main and front cameras while filming on both devices. They both offer portrait video and log recording mode, but the X200 Ultra can record in log even at 4K 60fps, while the X100 Ultra is limited to 4K 30fps in that mode. .4K 60fps on both, but now as main lens is 35mm, like main lens in X200 Ultra. Now the wide angle, telephoto lens. maximum zoom is 460 millimeters on X200 Ultra and 20x on X100 Ultra. We're back to 35 millimeters. And now running. And now again 4K 60 FPS on both, but now as main lens is 23 millimeters, like main lens on X100 Ultra. And now wide angle. Telephoto. X and X100 Ultra and 230 on X200 Ultra. Now the maximum zoom on both. Okay, we're back to 1x. 23 millimeters, and now run. 4K 60 FPS on the Vivo X200 Ultra and Vivo 100 Ultra. In both we can pause, we can take photo, and in both we can switch to the main camera. In terms of X200 Ultra, we can also recording with Dolby Vision. And now maybe we will see towards sun, and now running. Now, battery-wise, the X200 Ultra has 6000 mAh battery, while the X100 Ultra has 5500 mAh. On paper, that seems like noticeable advantage for the X200 Ultra, but honestly, in everyday use, the difference isn't that huge. I know the X100 Ultra has been out for about a year now, but I haven't noticed any major battery degradation. It still easily gets me a full day with around 4 to 5 hours of screen on time, even with 2 SIM cards. The X200 Ultra is giving me pretty similar vibes so far. Solid full day battery life, but nothing else. Both phones are from the Chinese market, so they do come with chargers in the box. The X100 Ultra supports 80-watt wired and 30-watt wireless charging. The X200 Ultra supports 90-watt wired and 40-watt wireless. I've been using the X100 Ultra for almost a year now, and I still really like this phone. So when the X200 Ultra came out, my expectations were high. But is it a revolution? Not really. It's more like an evolution, a solid upgrade, but not a must-have for everyone. If you love the ultra-wide angle or want new 35mm focal length on main camera, or you don't like this curved screen on the X100 Ultra, then yeah, it's worth considering. But for most users, especially if you already have the X100 Ultra, the upgrade is more nice to have than must do. Hope this helped you figure things out. Let me know in the comments. Are you sticking with the X100 Ultra or going for the X200 Ultra? Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next videos. Bye!